Shemai Setahi Croeso Christui. What is cracking, boys, girls, ladies, and gents, and basically anyone who is anyone. Today we're talking about Call of the Kappa by Gardner. But, before I go into the video, before I start talking about the book in general, I just wanted to say a few things, I wanted to say a few bits and bobs. So the first one is, as always, you can find actual written reviews on Goodreads. I do leave reviews for Gardner's books on Goodreads as I'm reading them. So, by the time this video goes out, my review would be up itself. There is that. Second of all, I wanted to thank the Anon that mentioned my channel on like a Booktubers thread on Lit or something. Yeah, thanks, bro. That was really cool. I saw like a little bit of some people coming over actually helped out, so thanks for that. It was nice. And third, finally, I suppose, guess what? Actually, I'm gonna keep the announcement till the very end because I've tried recording this now like what 6 times, and every single time I botch it up. So I'm just gonna give myself a little bit more time to think. But yeah, if you like these videos, if you want me to do another one, well, not another one on Call of the Kappa, I think the next one's called the Cradle. If you want me to do that one, Batista bomb that like button. Give me, what, 1 like? 2 likes? I don't know, just like the video, because like, I like seeing them them likes. It feels good, So yeah, without further ado, we should get into the video. So as always, I am going to do like a too long didn't read. So why you should or shouldn't get the book. And I'm going to go over it like very, very briefly. And then I'm going to go into it with a little bit more depth. Be a little bit more thorough while still being incredibly vague. So if you want to get the book, I have just spoiled literally everything for you. So without further ado, let's go. I'm going to start this bad boy off by just reading the back, to be honest. It says, after a mysterious stranger stops by his martial arts gym, Arnold begins to suspect there's something supernatural about the stranger. Set in July, Call of the Kappa is a horror novel which is filled with the spirit of the season, Independence Day, and of the terror about to strike. So that is basically, I suppose that's meant to be the premise of the book. So is this book a horror? And I'm going to say no. It's not that scary, to be honest. The book really seems to focus on Arnold and Gaston developing this bromance for like the first third of the book. And then it's sort of like, oh no, there's a Kappa stalking me for the second third. And then the final third is just a bit of a blur. So yeah, the book really, it's more of a mystery. And it's written a heck of a lot better. The dialogue's a lot better. The formatting of the book itself is a lot better. If you look at Call of the Arcade and Call of the Kappa, aside from the names on the covers, you just assume it was a completely different author. So I don't know if Gardner's got like an editor in, or if he's just sort of sat down and just worked really hard on making sure these books are formatted correctly. I don't know. But it is a massive improvement compared to the final two, or the previous two. The absolute only downside is that the twist isn't as impactful. So I'm not sure if like an editor has just come in and said, bro, you've got to stop this. They've taken away the Gardner magic. It is what it is. Should you get this book? Well, in all honesty, this one will appeal to a wider audience. If you like martial arts, then yeah, probably just get this book. It's an alright read. It's actually quite entertaining. If like, because the book is mostly about martial arts and there's a lot of monologuing about martial arts, it's going to depend on your personal feelings towards martial arts. The twist is a bit naff this time. Don't know why. The previous 2 twists in the previous 2 books were pretty good. And yeah, it's not that scary. Well, the other 2 weren't scary, but this one doesn't feel like a horror. This one doesn't feel like it's meant to be a horror. So should you get this book, it's going to come down to you personally. I'm not going to be like, no, because it's not going to appeal. This one appeals to quite a wide audience. It's just going to be whether or not you're interested in martial arts. So if you are, why not? It's like, what? You could probably get it for under £10 on Amazon. Go for it, man. It's an alright book. It's an entertaining read. So let's get into this book with a little bit more depth. So I read this book in 2 sittings, and it's not because I'm just like a massive nerd. It's because the book's honestly quite short, and I can read. I'm pretty good at it. But yeah, so if we're going to talk about this book in more depth, I have to say the characters are better written. You're not following 2 children this time, it's an actual adult. So although the writing falls into that uncanny valley effect where it's like, it's just a little bit off, it's like an alien trying to write like a human kind of thing. it's a little bit more fitting because this time you haven't got children doing it. Because when the children talk like adults, it feels like reading like the script for young Sheldon or something like that. But with this one, you got adults talking like adults. So the dialogue's still a little bit weird, but it is ultimately what it is. But the first third of this book is more or less just Arnold monologuing at Gaston about martial arts, and then Gaston feeding into it. But I mentioned Gaston. Who is this guy? Well, he saves Arnold's life. I don't even know if he did, because it's basically a paper mache dragon's falling, and it's gonna hit Arnold. So Gaston sort of does a barrel roll, saves the guy, and he's like, "Oh, thanks, bro. You saved my life. Do you want some martial art lessons?" And he's like, "Yeah, go on. That sounds fun." So that's what they do. I don't know if like a paper mache dragon would have killed the guy. Who knows? Who cares? But yeah, that's how they know each other. They sort of form this. They form this bromance. They do. But that's beside the point. So you got Gaston and Arnold. So Arnold just constantly monologues about martial arts, and Gaston sort of eggs him on. And this is the thing, I think, because I don't know anything about martial arts, I just sort of phased out. I just zoned out. But if you do, it's probably going to be quite annoying, because I get the impression he's sort of like over-explaining it, like in like sort of like a patronising way. Because I had a powerlifting phase. I spent like a good year or two powerlifting. So if somebody came up to me and was like, "Oh, what's a good exercise for your pecs?" I would just say, "Oh, bench press is good." I wouldn't go say something along the lines of, "Oh, you should do the bench press because it encapsulates man's struggle against his inner demons as the weight presses down upon you." Because that's really weird, and that's not how normal people talk. But this is sort of something that goes on a lot in this book. And yeah, the dialogue's a bit weird. I think very little happens in the first third, honestly. You got this Kappa character. He's not even like described as a Kappa. I think it's just heavily implied that he's a Kappa, because you've read the cover of the book at this point, and you're like, "Oh, Kappa," and that's about it. But basically, there's this Kappa character who's sort of like he's looking around kind of thing, and he's constantly there. So Arnold's in his dojo. You got this Kappa fella coming in, and he sort of does a runner after laughing a bit like a douche at him. So that's that. And then Arnold and Gaston go on a little date to like this haunted house kind of thing, and there's the Kappa again in like the shadows watching Arnold. So yeah, it's pretty cool. It's not scary. I wouldn't say it's a horror. It never sets it up to be a horror. It's always more of like a thriller, a mystery kind of thing. Yeah, that's about it for the first third. Literally just Arnold monologuing about martial arts, whilst his Kappa like antagonises him a tiny bit. But then the second third is basically just there's this tournament happening, and Arnold realizes, he's like, "Oh no, he's actually against his Kappa, or what he believes to be a Kappa." So now at this point, the Kappa's broken into his flat. He's left a note signed by the Kappa, and it's now come up that he's fighting against the Kappa. So the night before the tournament, Arnold has this awful nightmare about the Kappa, and like I said, this guy isn't actually. I'm not going to spoil that for you actually, but yeah, if you've read this far, I think the twist has already been spoiled for you, because unfortunately it's only meant to be like a little nudge kind of thing, like, "Oh, you should think about this," but instead it just gives away the twist. And personally, I was like, "Oh, thanks, bro," and then I just kept reading because I didn't really care. But then the twist was there, and you're like, "Oh, thanks, bro." But yeah, the twist has been spoiled for you at this point by just writing. And Arnold versus the Kappa. This is the scene now where they're fighting in like this martial arts tournament. So basically, what happens is the Kappa comes up, and it's very apparent that this guy is physically deformed. He's not actually a Kappa. He's not described as a Kappa. And if you know what a Kappa is, basically he's got like that little dome thing on the top of his head. This guy hasn't got a dome thing on the top of his head. In fact, he's like covering up his pec, his breast. He's got a bandage over it. He's adjusting it. I can't remember why. I think it's an injury that's mentioned previously in the book when it spoiled the twist view. But yeah, so Arnold's like, "Oh, I'm gonna have to kill this guy," and that's exactly what he tries to do. He does like a spear thrust at him straight into his heart, and then the guy like spits up blood. He's like on the floor dying, and everyone's like, "Please, bro, can you not be killing people at this tournament?" And Arnold, being like a massive suit, he's like, I've got to kill this guy. I've got to take him out for good. And so he's mincing over to this bloke, doing this like, well, he's mincing. And then he sort of tries curb stomping him. He does curb stomp him. What am I on about? And then he's sent to a mental facility for curb stomping this poor guy at a tournament, a martial arts. Would you curb? Is this what happens in the Olympics in Taekwondo, in judo, or whatever it is? I don't watch it because it's boring. Is this what happens in the Olympics? Does the winner get a curb stomp the loser? What is this, guys? But yeah, so Arnold is now at a mental facility, obviously because he's curb stomped this poor guy. And then it's revealed that the Kappa is actually just this deformed guy who's kind of smelly. And it's like, you read it, you're like, what? What? Because Arnold now has literally just curb stomped some guy who's probably like a little bit disabled. And then you're reading it, it's like, why? What? But yeah, so Arnold now has curb stomped some disabled fella. And he's in a mental facility. So is I don't even know, the master, the guy who actually runs the dojo, Master Yang. He's like, understandably, because our boy has just tried killing you, do you want free lessons? And he's talking to the Kappa, and the Kappa turns out to be called Nicholas, and he's like, yeah, go on, bro, I'll have free lessons. And this is it, you know, you got Arnold's in the facility, you got Master Yang, Nicholas, and Gaston. They're all training at this dojo. Gaston is understandably a little bit sus about the whole thing, because he's like, we've just tried killing him. And he's like, yeah, but at the end of the day, if we have got people killing people for being disabled, and we turn the guy away, it's going to look bad on us. So it's kind of like a self-awareness thing. At the same time, should you be curb stomping people? No, obviously not. But this is it. So that's really like this part of the book. And then it sort of goes on to Arnold in the mental facility. He meets Pete. Now Pete is the guy from Call of the Crocodile who burns down Dracula's castle. It's never actually brought up that he burnt down like something that's probably protected, like by governments. Nobody even acknowledges that it's Dracula's castle. It's probably got a real name, but nobody ever seems to acknowledge it in any of the books. And I think it would be a massive deal if it actually happened. But like I said, you know, it's Pete and Arnold in this mental facility, and there's this doctor who's she's not very nice. Let's just say that. I can't really remember. I don't know if they even give examples. It's just like, yeah, you see that woman? She's horrible. And then Arnold's like, I know what I have to do. I know what I have to do, bro. So Arnold murders her. He just straight up murders her. And it's like, there's zero repercussions. It's kind of weird. But he makes it look like an accident, however that means. He probably just curb stomped her again. Like, and it's like, oh, sorry guys, she dropped a massive stack of bucks on her head from the stack threads. About it. So Arnold eventually gets released. And I don't know if it's a twist or whatever, but it turns out the medication he has been on, they're placebos. And I think part of the reason why they essentially assassinate this woman is because she's given a medication. So he's just murdered a woman for giving him placebos. It's to wean him off the medication he was on previously, because he went cold turkey, and now it's revealed that, like, you know, he had a psychotic break and whatever, and that the Kappa wasn't actually a Kappa. It was just Arnold, like, struggling to deal with his mental health. And I don't even think that's a twist. It's just revealed. So Arnold sent home after like a year of he did attempt to murder this man, but he sent home after a year. He goes back to this dojo, and Nicholas is there, and Nicholas comes to the asylum to say hello to him. But then they're all like buddy buddy, pally pally, and I suppose this is the end of the third. So there's probably a lot of monologuing. Like I said, I zoned out whenever he monologued. But what it comes down to is Arnold and Gaston go over to see Nicholas in his apartment, and they go over, and it's a massive dump. It's a hole, let's just say that. And there's loads of gangsters there. There's gangbangers. Is that the word that we use? Because gangbanging over here means something else. There's loads of gangsters, and for some reason they're like, oh no, Nicholas is in danger. So they batter this one gangster for not letting him in his flat. And then they attempt to take out all the gangsters. Nicholas is on the floor, sort of like bleeding. He's obviously been beaten up. So they try to fight off all the gangsters. They all get overrun. They get taken away. And they wake up somewhere. Either they wake up somewhere or they're just left on the floor. The writing is a little bit muddy. I didn't really understand it, but Nicholas is nowhere to be seen when they wake up. So like, oh, we have to go to the castle. Now it's revealed that they've built like this Chinese castle or something. So they go there, and I can't even remember now. Like, it's something like Master Yang, Gaston, and Arnold go over to this castle. Master Yang's like, he's got a bag. He's got like the only way I could describe it is he's carrying like a gun case, and I think there is a gun in it. I think that's what. Yeah, I think it was a gun. And he's like, this is only for emergency. So Master Yang knows what's up. They go to this castle, and Nicholas reveals that he's actually this guy that. Well, it's a twist. I'm not going to spoil it, but there's a twist involving Nicholas. It's kind of cringe. It's been spoiled for you if you read the book anyway. So then they're fighting it out, and what you learn is there's a weapon of mass destruction set to go off with the fireworks, because it's like I don't even know. Like, I think it's Independence Day. This just implied that there's fireworks constantly going off. So I don't know what it is. It's just this constant fireworks. So this guy's got a weapon of mass destruction. It's a gas that the firework go up, it'll blow up, and the gas will just insta kill everyone. They'll all be game overed. So they're fighting over this gas. So Nicholas gets shot. He gets shot by Master Yang, who's got a revolver because he's Clint Eastwood now. And there's this struggle, and the book ends with Arnold igniting this gas inside of this castle, and it's still killing everyone. And then the ending is really abrupt. It's like, and they all die. The end, and you're just sort of like, you sat there. You're like, is there anything else? And it's like, no, they're all dead. The end. So this is the thing. This is really the book, and you're reading it, and because obviously I've read Call of the Crocodile and Call of the Arcade because I'm doing these YouTube videos. I sort of know what those two books were, and they were clearly meant to be horror books, but this one isn't. This one doesn't feel like a horror book, and like I said, I'm not sure if it's because Gardner's got an editor now who's like sort of just taking the Gardner magic away from him. Because at the end of the day, yeah, the writing wasn't good, but the twists were always really good. The twist in this one's kind of crap, and it's spoilt for you. So this one's kind of weak. And the only reason why this video isn't very long is because not a whole lot happens in the story. Like I said, the first third is literally Arnold monologuing about martial arts whilst Gaston eggs him on. It's only until the second third that things pick up. Like, there's not even a first and second half. Like with the other ones, you can only split them up because there's a twist in the middle. No, this one is literally just kind of martial arts. It's not scary. It's more of like a mystery / like thriller. I really struggle to get that word out. It's I don't really know how to feel about this one. On one hand, yeah, the writing's better. It's just I don't care for martial arts. And what's his name? Arnold's curb stomping some disabled guy is a bit weird. It's like, it is what it is, but like at the end of the day, curb stomping a disabled fella is a bit it's like one of those things. It's like, should you really write this? But yeah. So I don't know if I mentioned it. Nicholas is like disabled. He's quite deformed. That's his whole thing. By the way, yeah, he's not a Kappa. He's trying to be a Kappa because he knows freaking Arnold out, but he's not a Kappa. So that's about it, guys. That is literally the book. Not a whole lot happens in this book. It's quite short, to be fair. It's quite short. But like I said, not a whole lot happens. There isn't much character development, and all the characters die at the end of this. So, like, what is this? Like, it's what's the word? Interconnected world. It says at the back. Gardner's put like a little thing at the back of the books to like sort of promote the rest of the books. So it's an interconnected world where you don't have to read any of the books in order. I don't recommend not reading this one in order because you're not going to know who Pete is. And it sort of spoils the ending for the Call of the Crocodile. So, yeah, I'd read Call of the Crocodile first. But, yeah, I don't know how to feel about this one. I sort of put it down. I stopped thinking about it. Because it's like all the characters die at the end. And then you just sort of sat there thinking, what was the point of any of this? Because the book, it's an entertaining read, but like, it robs you of any sort of satisfaction when everybody dies at the end. And I've said that so many times because it's just weird. It's like, why would that happen? But yeah, like I said, that's about it. 'Cause not a whole lot happens in this book. So I suppose it's time to summarize this video, because I've actually recorded a lot of footage for this as well. So I'm not really sure if I spent my time wisely there. But without further ado, let's summarize this video. Let's give it like a proper review for this bad boy now at the end. So let's go. So I don't really know what to say about this book, guys. It's sort of like Karate Kids, but then it decides to be like a horror book towards the end, and it's a bit late at that point. And if it's stuck with either one or the other, then it would be a completely different book. But that's about it, you know. What is the target audience? I'm just going to say anyone who's interested in martial arts and Japanese folklore. If you like either of them, then this book is probably going to be something that you can read and enjoy reading. I went into this expecting it to be like a 4chan meme book, but no, Gardner did pretty well this time. I'm not sure if there has been like an editor brought in, because the formatting of the book is just infinitely better. The writing feels better. The dialogue is improving. And yeah, the only thing is there wasn't like an insane twist like with the previous two. And that's always something that I've enjoyed with Gardner's books, is because the twists are just insane. You don't expect them, but with this one, unfortunately, not only is it not that good, it's also spoilt for you. And then you just sort of like, it just leaves no impact when it actually happens, because you sort of expect it. You sort of put it in the back of your mind like this could actually happen, and then it does. You're like, ah, I knew that. But yeah, you know, this book, man, there's not a whole lot to say about it. Not a lot happens in the story. Is it offensive? No, it's honestly not offensive. It's an entertaining read. That's about it, guys. Because this video is a lot shorter than the other ones, because not a whole lot happens. Even now, like trying to summarize the book, not a whole lot needs to be said. That's the weird thing. So would I recommend this book? Like I said, if you were interested in like martial arts or Japanese folklore, then maybe, yeah. Do you need to browse 4chan's literature and paranormal boards? No, honestly no. This one has a much wider audience, which is good, obviously, because then it can sell to a lot more people. But that's about it. Like I said, I'm probably going to give this 4 stars. I enjoyed it, but I'm not going to pick the book up again. So that's about it, guys. So that announcement that I mentioned at the start. So the announcement is, after reading Gardner's books, I'm sort of it sort of inspired me to actually start writing my own. You know, I'm going to have a go at writing. I'm still in the process where I'm just kind of figuring out what I want it to be about, who I want the characters to be, all that sort of stuff. But yeah, I'm hoping to start writing fairly soon. Hopefully, maybe give it like a year. I'll have my own book on my channel. That'd be cool, wouldn't it? Just because I think it'd be interesting. Because the last thing that I've put out that could be a book, it was a university thing about autism. I did a project on autism in university, because autism's like one of my key interests, kind of thing. It's autism, then like just general human behavior. Like, I'm really good at analyzing people. It's that sort of stuff. So yeah, I'm thinking about writing a book. As it stands right now, I'm sort of like going over the ideas in my head. So that's about it. That is the announcement, and I just wanted to thank Gardner and I suppose another self-published author, who I'm not going to name because I don't think I'm going to do a video on their book, for providing the motivation to actually do these, to start writing. You know, because if anyone can do it, well, why can't we? So yeah, that's about it. And that's about it for the video, guys. So if you like the video, feel free to give me a like. If you have anything to say, feel free to comment, you know. Feel free to subscribe, because I'm going to do Call of the Cradle next. Whether it's going to be next week or the week after, I don't know, because as it stands, I'm spending a lot of my free time reading books only to talk about them on here, rather than just reading them for my own enjoyment. Right now, I'm like, 200 pages into Stephen King's It, because with work and the YouTube stuff, I'm not really reading it at all. So yeah, that's about it. Like I said, you know, feel free to like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for watching, guys, girls, ladies and gents, and I hope you all have a lovely day. Hope you have a lovely week. I hope you just have a lovely time. So without further ado, take care.